What's up, everybody? I'm Patrick. Welcome to the Fictive Fun channel. This is campaign diary number 7 for our Shadow the Demon Lord campaign that we run on Tuesday nights on Twitch. So come check us out if you want to. Tuesday nights, 7:30 Eastern Time. This session was a little bit shorter than our normal sessions. I wouldn't say shorter than our normal sessions. It's probably about the same amount of time, but a shorter session overall. It's right around 3 hours. We got through 2 combat encounters this session, but the encounters were really fun. We introduced 2 new characters, Roxanne and Kurai, but their characters didn't make it out of the last session, so they created 2 new characters for this session. One is a goblin named Maggot, which is awesome because this goblin has red skin, because it's a oof or oofe, I don't know how you pronounce it, type of goblin, and the other character is a Farron. And if you're unfamiliar with what a Farron is, it's a human that can turn into a cat. Not any type of cat, but like a house cat, which is pretty cool. Yeah, so they pretty much, I had them come into the story. I asked them, like, why would they be at the shrine? So I wanted them to get with Jonah and Skive in the shrine. That way they weren't, like, off doing their own thing, so we could have the whole party in the dungeon. But they said that they learned about the shrine. Maggot learned about the shrine from her mentor's writings. Kiamat came along as well because Kiamat wants to help Maggot get stronger so they can fight the Fury that is kind of after them, chasing them. Yeah, so they arrive at the shrine and meet Donkey Balls, who's one of the NPC mercenaries. And Donkey Balls tells them that his friends are down in the shrine. So they go into the shrine. Skive and Jonah are moving through the shrine, and they come across this hologram that they had to roll will to try to avoid insanity on, because this hologram is pretty terrifying. But it doesn't, like, attack them or anything. It's just like a projection that repeats itself. And they move deeper into the dungeon. Well, what they don't know is that trap they set off in the last session, the fire trap that was rigged on the door that Skive opened, actually drew the attention of some Bloody Bones that were hiding. And the Bloody Bones attacked them while they were in a corridor leading to another part of the dungeon. At this point, Kiamat and Maggot arrive on scene with Donkey Balls. And there's an encounter there. Skive goes down. Doesn't get killed, though. Jonah goes down as well, and also doesn't get killed. But they both go down. Like, the Bloody Bones took them down before the Bloody Bones themselves were taken down. So they decided to go back to town, rest up for a few days, get some supplies, come back into the dungeon. They pushed a little bit further. They encountered some guardians of the dungeon, 2 bone guards. And the bone guards didn't react with Skive, but the way the encounter is written is they're supposed to react immediately to the party entering the area. But what I wanted to show was that when Jonah approached, Jonah being human and this being a Fey dungeon, they reacted to a human being in there and not the goblin, because the goblin has Fey heritage. So that was just something I threw in off the cuff, and I think it worked pretty well. I don't know if Jonah's player is thinking, is it because I have corruption or is it because I'm human? But yeah, I just kind of threw that in there. So the bone guards attacked when Jonah approached. They dispatched the bone guards. They did take some damage from the bone guards. The bone guards are the hardest characters to fight, but they can do some damage. And but they managed to dispatch them pretty well. And then they decided they wanted to go back to town to rest again and then come back. I told them that's cool. You know, they could just move back and forth between town and the dungeon. You know, and the dungeon kind of has like this little save button. Because staying in the dungeon obviously isn't a safe thing to do, but they've already cleared out the area between the entrance and there, so they'll come back this next session and be where they were in the dungeon. For this next session, I'm thinking they can pretty much, depending on what they do, where they go in the dungeon, they should be able to push through to the end of the dungeon. It also depends on how long the session is. If we're limited to 3 hours, they may not be able to finish the dungeon. But I'm hoping that they're able to push through to the end of the dungeon by the end of the session. I'm not one that that tries to rush the party to keep moving. I like to let them have their moments of role play while in the dungeon because that's what it's all about. You know, that's what builds these characters. So I'm not one to be like, all right, that's enough talking. Let's, keep moving through this dungeon to the next encounter. That's not something I want to do. I mentioned the mind control thing last session. That didn't come up yet. So it might come up this session. I'm thinking about pulling in some stuff from a previous session and throwing that into the dungeon to replace an encounter that is already in the dungeon. Because I think something to tie them back into their hometown of Crossings. Because they've been out here for so long. I mean, we're pushing 4 sessions out here in the wilderness in this dungeon that I don't want them to forget, like, there's shit going on in Crossings, There's a cult there that's up to something. And that's the reason they were hired by the Inquisition in the first place, is for the cult. And the Inquisition pretty much wants them to come here and find any magical trinkets or whatever to bring back to the Inquisition so that it doesn't fall in the hands of anybody bad. I mean, the cult of the New God is bad in itself. And as is the cult of Brotherhood of Shadows. Pretty much religion in Shadow the Demon Lord is pretty corrupt in itself. So any religion, there's no like good religion for the most part, because when you read about it, it's a great backstory that's written for the gods in this game. And it's not like the gods are these benevolent creatures. The gods are, spoiler alert, the gods are fae that humans ascended to godhood because of their beliefs, which is pretty interesting. It's the beliefs made the gods instead of the gods being there, and humans just choosing to follow those gods. So yeah, I think that's pretty interesting. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it for this session. I'm definitely gonna bring in some Brotherhood of Shadow stuff into this next session. I'm gonna leave it at that, and definitely check us out on Tuesday night. It's really fun. Got a great cast of characters, got great players, and yeah, we definitely appreciate it. We love seeing people talk in chat about the game, and having that table chatter outside of the actual play is really fun. So definitely come check us out. Twitch TV / Fictive Fun. Yeah, that's us. So thank you all for watching, and catch y'all next week. Later.